Alright, let's get into this real soon now, so just about ready. Give me 1 second while I sort out a few more things here. Alright, we should be good now. Alright, so let's ignore this. I guess I'll check a few more things, make sure that stream doesn't get interrupted by any other bullshit. Alright, we should be good. Anyways, also let's turn this down. Forgot that it was that loud. Anyways, actually, you know what? It would probably be a good thing for me to test the audio right now, which I've not done, so give me 1 second. Alright, I think it sounds good. Anyways. Actually, while I decide to talk about this, I might as well bring up the original tier list. Oh, hello, why? Is that just the video? Yeah, I think it's just the video. Replay it, the song's awesome. Yeah, I see. OBS is screwing up right now. That's great. That's wonderful, OBS. That's wonderful. Hopefully you don't keep doing this. Alright. Hopefully everything's fine now. Anyways, so actually I also wanted to open up Audacity, so wow, I am doing a really shit job at starting this up good. I'm sorry guys if anyone is even there to see this. Hopefully not, because this is pretty rough right now. But yes, I do plan on turning this into a video. Let me get the lights on also. There, now I can actually see what the hell I'm doing. And not cause any more issues. Anyways. There, I started Audacity. Now I can sync that up somehow in editing. Back to this though. You see this video? Well, last year, I decided to rank all of the No More Heroes bosses. What was I gonna say? Because the release of No More Heroes 3 was around the corner at the time. Although, the video kind of lied because it wasn't all the bosses. It was actually only the ones from 1 and 2. Because at the time, I couldn't find a tier list that had the Travis Strikes Again bosses as well. Thankfully, though, I found one. And it also, wouldn't you know it, has all the No More Heroes 3 bosses. Except that's kind of a lie, actually, because No More Heroes... well, Travis Strikes Again has the multicolored sheepmen, or the different colored sheepmen. Obviously, they're all supposed to be Dr. Juvenile, so I guess that's why we just have Juvie right here. Even though that could just be meant to be White Sheepman, which is her final form, if you will. Why does the song keep doing that? Screw it, put on this. So yeah, I don't know if the intention here was just to have Juvenile represent White Sheepman, or just all of the sheepmen that Juvenile controlled. I'm just gonna go with all the sheepmen for Juvenile. This is Juvenile, so I'm gonna count the boss as Juvenile, and all of the bosses that were Juvenile. And then yeah, in No More Heroes 3, there were a bunch of sub-bosses. What with there being a bunch of ones that you fought in space with full armor Travis. And then there were also some in minigames, I think, because I remember hearing that there was a boss fight against this guy's brother, Ryuji. But yeah, I've never seen that. I think I've seen a video on it, though. But I haven't encountered him for myself. And because it is for the motorcycle minigame in No More Heroes 3, I doubt I ever will, so... So right off the bat, I also have to update this a bit, because, you know, it's been a year, opinions change, and also, what with the structure of this tier list, I was able to actually make the Cowboys tier that I wanted to put Henry in. So now, let's take a second to look through, see if there are any patch notes, I guess, that I want to make here. Let's see. So down here, I'd say I probably move Million Gunman right there between. Oh, okay, OBS is just crashing. Great. Okay, if you didn't see that, I'm going through some patch notes here, taking what was my previous tier list and moving characters around that I already ranked, based on if I changed anything, or changed my mind at all. So far I changed this, so Charlie is now ahead of Million Gunman instead of being behind him. Mainly because, yeah, Charlie at least did something unique, even if it was half-baked. Million Gunman is just not a fun boss to fight. Anyways, what else here? I'm gonna move Shinobu up, because, you know, it's still Shinobu. Shinobu's a really cool character, and I'd say that she's better than Nathan. And yeah, I can see myself having more fun fighting Shinobu and seeing all the things that she does as a character than, you know, Nathan, who just gets pretty boring when you're fighting him. Or not really boring, but very annoying because of all the damn traps that he has. Who else here? I'd say maybe move Matt Helms up to C tiers, because I mean, I do like him. I kind of like the whole slasher vibe he's got, and you know, he's armed with a flamethrower with an axe on it, and you're breaking through the walls and stuff. It's a pretty cool setting, so I mean, that is at least kind of cool. Who else did I want to move, if anyone? Let's see. I'd say maybe, looking at this, I do want to move Destroy Man up to A tier, because thinking about it, Destroy Man has had 3 different boss fights throughout the series, and the No More Heroes 1 Destroy Man is easily my favorite incarnation of him. Especially when you look back at the ones that we got in No More Heroes 2 and 3. We'll get to 3, but like I said, No More Heroes 2, yeah, kind of dropped the ball if you couldn't tell by this. Yeah. Other than that, I think this is pretty good. I might move Gene back, though. I'd say maybe... You know, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna leave Skelter Helter at the very end. And then I'll throw Destroy Man here ahead of Gene. Because I do find myself enjoying Destroy Man a little more than Gene in No More Heroes 1. Yeah, and then the rest of this looks pretty good, I'd say. So there we go. That's the updated version of my tier list from last year. But we're not done yet because we still have yet to rank all of these guys. The 7 bosses from No More Heroes, I messed up the name. The 7 bosses here from Travis Strikes Again, No More Heroes. And then the 11 bosses here from No More Heroes 3. Even though, like I said, there are more than 11 in No More Heroes 3. Even when it comes to the main bosses, because if you want to count it, Velvet Chair Girl and Oma should technically be 2 different bosses. I don't know. It depends on how you want to think about that. Anyways, let's just get right into it then. So, should I play the bosses' themes for these? Actually, no, I shouldn't do that because I do remember that there was a lot of BS with Grasshopper Manufacturer taking down videos that had the boss themes in them. Although it was only select boss themes. I don't know. Plus, I am not just straight up uploading the boss themes themselves. I'm just having them as background music, but we'll just play it safe. So, yeah, let's get this track right now. And this ad that I don't want to see. And I doubt you guys want to see either. Oh my god. Right click and bring up the menu, please. Thank you. Okay, now that that's all out of the way. Let's start with the Travis Strikes Again bosses. So, for those of you who are unaware, Travis Strikes Again is a spin-off game to the No More Heroes series where it involves Travis going inside of different video game worlds. So, all of them are made up though, except for one. We'll get to that one. But yeah, the first world is a very arcade-style game in the form of Electric Thunder Tiger 2, with the main hero of that game, Electro Triple Star, being the boss fight. Being the boss that Travis fights at the end of the game, or the level, if you will, in terms of Travis Strikes Again. You know, games are levels in that game. So, I guess we'll also talk about the games themselves, because that also ties into the identities of these bosses. So, the game Electro Triple Star. The game Electric Thunder Tiger 2 is pretty much the most basic game in No More Heroes Travis Strikes Again, or vice versa. What a confusing title. But yeah, the levels are all very linear. They have some goofy gimmicks that don't go too far, but are just mainly there for fun. They also take it easy a lot with the enemies until they think, okay, we've seen the player kind of grow a little more. At this point, we're going to throw some bigger waves and some bigger enemies. It's basically a typical first level in a game. Just, you know, the whole game is that level, basically. That's a good way to put it, I'd say. Of all the games that you go into in No More Heroes Travis Strikes Again, I did it again, damn it. Electric Thunder Tiger... Yeah. Electric Thunder Tiger 2 feels the most like a, just random, regular game. And now moving on to the character of Electro Triple Star. He is basically this superhero who had his family taken away from him, and he has the power of electricity, and when the whole world is experiencing a blackout, it's up to him to save the day. At least that's what we got from the opening cutscene. However, we do see more with him, though, because when he's talking to Travis, we actually get some pretty good dialogue. And I forget what he says against the other villains, not the other villains, the other playable characters. I only remember what all the bosses say to Travis, mainly because I only played as Travis when battling the bosses again to refight them and refresh my memory on all of them. So do forgive me if I miss out on some pretty important or cool details regarding what the bosses would say to Bad Man or Bad Girl or Shinobu. But yeah, when Electro Triple Star is talking to Travis, we hear that both have a high level of respect for one another. Electro Triple Star sees a lot of things in common with him and Travis because, you know, they're both fathers. They're both kind of family men, and they see family as very important. And Electro Triple Star, unfortunately had his family taken away from him, and that was something very near and dear to him. Literally the thing that he fights for. And then, yeah, Electro Triple Star also really loves the idea of being able to work with Travis and having him star in Electric Thunder Tiger 3, which just sounds pretty funny. And hey, if you guys actually want to make that a game and throw Travis in there as a hidden character, that might be pretty fun. And then, yeah, the boss fight is the most, I'd say the most video game style boss fight that we've got. And I think that's why his boss fight really sticks out and feels as fun as it does. I mean, he's doing some crazy shit, doing some big laser attacks, big electricity attacks, summoning thunder strikes to hit in random spots. And then he even has a pretty cool gimmick with his second phase, where at the start of it, he actually sets up 4 generators, and you have to destroy those while avoiding some electric floor attacks and the incoming waves of random bug enemies. And I think that's that was a very good decision because, again, you want to kind of slowly introduce the players into this idea of Travis going into video game worlds. And they did it really well with both Electric Thunder Tiger 2 and Electro Triple Star. Both feel very fun, very good as introductions, and are just... and they're both just very memorable when looking at how they were handled. And that really does help keep them relevant in the game and in the memories of players of the game. So I'd probably put Electro Triple Star. I mean, he's nothing too crazy. So maybe... I think I'm gonna put him... I'm gonna put him right here between Death Metal and Dr. Let's Shake. I'd say that B tier, the kind of middle tier here, is pretty good. And yes, I do consider this to be the middle tier because, you know, no one else is getting into cowboys. Let's be honest here. All right. This character is very weird here, Mr. Doppelganger. So apparently, in the lore of of normal heroes. Okay, in the lore of No More Heroes, this Mr. Doppelganger character, this serial killer who just loves murder and to torture his victims, have them go through this weird Saw-like game, but it's not really Saw, it's just I don't even know how to describe it. Just watch the opening cutscene to Life is Destroy. It's hilarious with the one, the victim playing a video game going, die, 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 and then when he loses, ah, fuck! That was hilarious. It was also live action. I'm not sure if I said that already, but that made it a pretty fun cutscene too. A fun and memorable one. But yeah, apparently he likes to kill his victims by breaking into their houses and laying out some cards, having the victim choose their form of death. And his signature weapon is this crazy-ass Swiss Army knife with things that you would not expect to see on a Swiss Army knife unless it was a Swiss Army knife specifically designed for a serial killer. Then you'd probably see them. And yeah, again, apparently he's a real-life serial killer, hence why that cutscene was live action. They were trying to sell that idea. But then, you know, it's kind of weird because he's also supernatural, and then he shows up again in No More Heroes 3, and he's just casually talking to Travis, not, you know, deciding to go on a killing spree or anything. But, yeah, he's just there as another collectible, basically. You find 10 of them for some reason. I don't know why. Yes, normal heroes. That's gonna be a new game. It's gonna be the next No More Heroes spin-off. Also, welcome to the stream. Where was I on Doppelganger? And yeah, there was also a very interesting quote of his that I saw. He said that Juvenile, he gave birth to her, and then she gave birth to him. This is the in-game version of Mr. Doppelganger, or the Life is Destroy in-game version of Mr. Doppelganger. I almost said her as in Juvenile. I don't know what the hell that was about. But yeah, that kind of makes me think, well, what? Does that mean that the real-world serial killer, Mr. Doppelganger, is the father of Dr. Juvenile? And when he says that she gave birth to him, he's talking about him as in the video game incarnation of him? I don't know, it's pretty weird. Then Life is Destroy as a game. I'll admit it was a little too repetitive, but I mean it was fun to see the whole maze-like structure of the whole town or city or whatever it was, and having you kind of feel lost and pressured to get through, especially also with the one enemy that just kills you in one hit and chases you. And then yeah, you're trying to make your way into each of the murder houses where Mr. Doppelganger had slain some of his victims, and you see that as they went on, they became more and more gruesome and blood-filled to the point where you realized this is someone who just completely lost themselves, their whole psyche, and now all they want is blood. And it proposes a cool contrast once we finally get to the interaction between Travis and Mr. Doppelganger. Travis despises him, and Doppelganger doesn't really see why. He's like, hey, we're both killers. Why would you see us differently? Travis sees himself as a lot more honorable with the whole idea of assassin, or at least with how they do it in No More Heroes, with the whole idea of assassination being that it's two killers fighting to the death while still trying to maintain some level of honor, unless you're fighting some douchebags. But then you look at, or Travis looks at Mr. Doppelganger, and he only sees him as this deranged psychopath who wants nothing but to kill for his own pleasure. He kills just for the hell of it. There's no honor. There's no reason at all. he just wants to kill. And then we get to the fight, and it's pretty fun seeing Mr. Doppelganger throwing knives and trying to slash up Travis. And then he brings out his signature attack where he has all these clones of him, all these doppelgangers, if you will, and you have to hit the one that looks like he's dabbing because, you know that that's the one that you gotta kill because he's dabbing. And then I think one of the most disappointing parts, I feel like maybe this happens if you play on a more higher difficulty, but he does talk about how, you know, one hit and you're dead. So I'd think that, you know, he'd have an attack where one hit and you're dead. But yeah, I didn't really find one of those. Even his signature attack with all the doppelgangers, if you don't get him in time, he still attacks you, but it's not a one-hit KO. I guess that would be a little unfair, but I mean, it's an attack where you literally have 10 seconds to find the right doppelganger and just hit him once. Yeah, so I guess that's just kind of like a missed opportunity. Yeah, the boss fight itself was a bit and I mean, even then, I don't really find myself getting hit all that often, so I can't really notice if he does ever one hit kill you. But overall, I think he's pretty interesting, and who knows, maybe we'll see him again in a more substantial capacity rather than hey, look at me, I'm an overworld collectible now. Let's put him, where would I put Doppelganger? Maybe, I think maybe ahead of Harvey. I think that's a good place for him. Alright, yeah, let's change the music. Let's put on, is this the song that I think that I'm pretty sure it is? Oh my god, ads, yes. More ads, please. Yes, it is that song. Alright. Now, on to Brian Buster Jr. So, Brian Buster Jr., from what I could get, it's very odd and somewhat complicated. I'd say complicated, but it's more so just questioning what the hell is going on here. Brian Buster Jr. was apparently, I don't know what to call him, I guess, kind of this hero figure, but he and his father were, and his father was executed, and now he lives on, kind of carries on his father, Brian Buster Sr.'s legacy, and you even see that with him using Brian Buster Sr.'s mech. And he went through even more than that, 'cause he even got blinded, and yeah, after achieving all of his goals, all he wanted to do was die, but he wanted to kind of die in a more honorable way than just taking his life. And that's why you have this weird game in the form of Coffee and Donuts, which what a strange title, but okay. Yeah, so you go through the overworld of that game, and it looks like you're just in this mansion, kind of Resident Evil 1 style or Clock Tower style, and you're trying to unlock all the rooms, which all go to different sub-levels, which are all decorated with things like deserts and forests and donut platforms, because, you know, you got to keep up the coffee and donuts theme. And you collect donuts to then give to these what look like corpses of Brian Buster Jr. and you realize that once you actually get to the boss fight with Brian Buster Jr., he was actually trying to stage the whole thing to look like he was gonna commit suicide, or like he had committed suicide. But yeah, Travis and Badman kind of found out the mystery, and then came the final boss fight. Not final boss fight, but the showdown between Travis and or Badman, or Bad Girl, or Shinobu, and Brian Buster Jr., who in the boss fight also got to break out his father's mech once again. Also in the boss fight, the Iron Giant was just in the background, waiting to shoot a bunch of lasers down, which, that was pretty funny. And then, yeah, the boss fight with Brian Buster Jr. was very cool. Also very, very epic, what with the music in the background. The theme that he has is phenomenal. And, yeah, fighting him, he's doing some pretty cool stuff. Got some strong attacks, some strong punches, some strong lasers. And again, he's getting the support from the Iron Giant in the background. And then, yeah, you finally get to beat him and somewhat give him what he was looking for, because he was looking for an honorable way to meet his end. And I guess you kind of did do that. You know, Travis the Destroyer and all. He killed his heroes. No more heroes. That's literally a quote from the game. I'd say, where would I put Brian Buster Jr.? Because I don't think he's too amazing, but from what we got, he was pretty neat. So I'd say just ahead of Mr. Doppelganger. He does improve on being a boss and some more aspects than Doppelganger. But yeah, Doppelganger also has some interesting stuff, as we discussed already. So now Smoking King. Smoking King. I love how the robot voice says it. So this was probably the weirdest of all of the Death Ball games. Actually, that's a lie, because there's one that's literally meant to be an unfinished game that then turns into asteroids. But yeah, this game, Golden Dragon GP, is a vector style racing game that looks all Tron. And yeah, you race by, you know, riding stick. And as someone who has never driven stick at all, and is not all that knowledgeable on cars and, you know, different types of cars, and I guess in this case motorcycles, I was at a loss on how to play it for a bit until I finally learned, after, you know, being thrown into the deep end, how to drive stick, at least in a video game. And yeah, all the races, it was just like, okay, learn to drive stick, then you could just wipe everyone out in these races. And then, yeah, you're good. Keep doing this until you get to Smoking King. But that wasn't the whole thing, because in between races, you'd have to clear out different rooms in this, I guess, this hotel that you were in. And, firstly, your hotel room, wow. I mean, what with the atmosphere, all the things that were in there, and how they were all organized, and all accompanied with that background music. Cold Rice, I believe the theme is. Like that hit. Like I could see some definitely. I can see some definite things. What am I trying to say? I can definitely see some things to read into when looking at that area, and it's easily the best part of the game Golden Dragon GP. But you don't stay in there for long, because then you get calls to do some jobs, and then you gotta, you know, slice up all these bugs that are on different floors. And then after that, you can finally compete in the next race. Do that a few times until you finally get to Smoking King, and the asshole cock blocks you because before you're about to win, he says, "Hey, racing kind of sucks, right? Yeah, this isn't good enough for a final showdown. Meet me at the top of the hotel, and we'll have a true boss fight on my roof bathhouse thing." And then, yeah, when Travis is talking to him, you learn that he was formerly a sumo wrestler. He was formerly a sumo wrestler, and what he ended up doing was moving past the life as a fighter and becoming a racer. And because of that, he was no longer really a fighter, and Travis didn't even really want to fight him until Smoking King just kind of encouraged him. And it was this pretty interesting thing, seeing that Smoking King was this very encouraging character and figure, even to the point where Travis really looked up to him and said that he wanted to encourage the one that encouraged him by telling him to race at least one more time, him keep up his racing legacy. But yeah, after that, you then get into the boss fight, and yeah, you definitely see that, okay, I can see what this guy means. He's not really that much of a fighter, because the fight itself is, it's fine for what it is, but, I'd say that the previous 3 boss fights before him were definitely more engaging fights. The theme was also kind of weird, because the theme was just this very, chill beat that was called like Love Secret Desire, and it had lyrics, I guess. Yeah, I think the most interesting thing that he does is I think he breathes fire, but other than that, you know, he's leaving smoke traps that he then lights in fire. Then boom, you got cross sections or cross lines where fire then erupts. Or I guess fire ignites, because, you know, it's hitting gas. But yeah, he seems like overall the most forgettable boss, and I mean, he's not really all that interesting. The most interesting parts of him are just the fact that, yeah, he isn't really much of a fighter. He's more of a racer, and he's a very encouraging character. But, yeah, still not enough to really make him anything too high. I'd say he's probably, I'm gonna put him ahead of Kimmy from No More Heroes 2. Yeah, he's definitely not good enough to be in the same tier as the other, or I should say the previous 3 bosses. Let's change the theme. You know what? This is a pretty special character. Let's put on his boss theme, if I can find it. Alright, here we go. So you want to know how much of a madman Suda51 is? Imagine him wanting to create this game, this collaboration game between him and Shinji Mikami. You know, the guy, the face of Resident Evil, the man behind the series. And, you know, they want to team up to make this really cool game. The code name is Koriyami, or something like that. It's going to be about this character exploring this demon village, and he's only armed with a torch, and then maybe he's also going to have like a pixie following him around as like a sidekick type character, a character to bounce dialogue back and forth off of. But then you need a publisher, or I should say, but then they needed a publisher, and unfortunately for poor Suda, he didn't know what he was getting himself into when he decided that that publisher would be EA. And then EA would then go on to completely butcher that by being all, oh, this isn't something that most gamers would want to see. We need to make it more goofy and basically Resident Evil 4-ize it, but give it none of the same charm that Resident Evil 4 had. I haven't played What's it called? Shadows of the Damned. That's what it actually ended up being called. It's like I said, the code name was Koriyami, or the placeholder name was Koriyami. But then yeah, it became Shadows of the Damned. Now this game where you're going to this village and going into hell to kill a bunch of demons who kidnapped your girlfriend. This very scantily clad woman who you have to keep seeing get killed over and over again for some reason. And now, what am I saying now? And he works alongside his sidekick, which is a gun. This skull-faced gun that can also become other guns, and a motorcycle who's named Johnson. Also, the main character is Garcia Hotspur. I'm not really doing a good job at recapping all this, but yeah, unfortunately, that game didn't end up doing well, and especially in the eyes of Suda, because he had a completely different vision with that. That just got lost because of EA. But then imagine playing Travis Strikes Again, and then you go the next game after the bait and switch that was Killer Marathon. You get this game called what was it called? Serious Moonlight. And the gaming article inside of Travis Strikes Again talks about the game being this Dragon Quest style RPG. You're like, okay, this could have some fun stuff with it. Then you watch the opening movie, and there's Garcia Hotspur and Johnson fighting for their lives as Garcia gets killed by some, what I think they said was the son of the main villain of Shadows of the Damned, Fleming. And with Garcia's death, he sets Johnson free, and Johnson goes on to become this new hero, 8 Hearts, who is the skeleton boss that we saw in marketing for Travis Strikes Again. And he goes on a mission to save Garcia and avenge him after his murder. So yeah, 8 Hearts is actually Johnson, and Serious Moonlight is actually the Shadows of the Damned sequel, Damned Dark Knight. Suda literally put the sequel to one of his bastardized games inside of another game, which was Travis Strikes Again No More Heroes. This dude's a fucking genius. I forget a lot about the actual game of Damn Dark Knight. I remember that there was not much going on with it, other than, you know, the maze section where you gotta go to the baby-faced gates and open them up by feeding them strawberries. But then other than that, the level structure and everything, the level design, something really stood out. Other than the fact that, yeah, holy shit, this is just Shadows of the Damned being revived. And then they're also talking about the potential of a Shadows of the Damned remake or sequel. Wait, hang on. Let me check something. Did I set this to loop? I did not. Anyways. And then, yeah, you then get to Johnson. And, again, crazy stuff here going on. The fact that Shadows of the Damned is a game both in our real world and in Travis's world. And now Travis goes inside of the game to face off against this new form of Johnson, aka 8 Hearts. And he learns more about what Johnson is planning to do now, potentially in another Shadows of the Damned sequel, one that might not be confined inside of a No More Heroes game. And yeah, the fight itself was pretty interesting. I liked how Johnson had control of and was able to make the skull turrets that we're also seeing throughout other games. He's also doing this strange Chun-Li style spinning bird kick, but with an extra twister to it. He's also got some other pretty interesting attacks, some beam attacks. Not beams, but little balls, I guess. I guess that might be a callback to the big boner, if you will. And then, yeah, it's also pretty cool that it was Garcia talking to Johnson from, like, Beyond the Grave or from Hell or wherever the hell Garcia is now, considering he can still talk to Travis and 8 Hearts. And he was there telling 8 Hearts, hey, go into the second phase already. And then him telling 8 Hearts that, yeah, he's in like the 4th circle of hell or something like that. And 8 Hearts still plans on rescuing Garcia and keeping him alive. And you also get to feel that more with the theme in this boss fight, which is called Welcome to Hell, or as I like to call it, Welcome to Hair. I'm gonna get canceled for that. But yeah, it's this whole cool Japanese rap where it's actually the Japanese voice actor of Johnson, aka 8 Hearts, who's rapping, and the lyrics are all talking about how Johnson promises to keep the legacy of Garcia alive and fight on to preserve his memory and also save him from wherever he ended up being, thanks to Fleming's son. And what's also interesting is that if you just listen to the well, both if you read the lyrics that were roughly translated and listen to the instrumental, you realize, wow, this is only upbeat because of the whole rap aspect. If you just listen to the background music and read the lyrics, it's actually surprisingly somber. Is that the right word, somber? It's very depressing, and just goes to show the whole character they wanted to build for Johnson and 8 Hearts. I should say Johnson, aka 8 Hearts. So yeah, I think he's definitely carried by the fact that, yeah, this is Johnson, now turned into a No More Heroes character, and maybe also a character to be featured in a potential Shadows of the Damned sequel, maybe some other Grasshopper games, because yeah, they did end up getting the rights back from EA, hence why they were able to do this in the first place. But I'd say maybe all the way at the end of A tier is a good place for 8 Hearts. Welcome to the No More Heroes family, Johnson. Alright, so if you haven't played Travis Strikes Again, No More Heroes, you won't really know who this character is, but this is Dr. Juvenile, and she's like the main driving character of this game. Because, I mean, Travis, he's mainly just in there for the ride. Same thing for Badman. He's just kind of thrown in there because, you know, they wanted to have 2 players. So, yeah, let's bring in this character who goes on wanting to avenge his daughter who Travis killed, but, you know, ends up just playing some video games with him. But, I mean, he gets Bad Girl back in return for it, so that's something. But yeah, this game is mainly focused on the character of Dr. Juvenile. And Dr. Juvenile is the one who created the Death Drive Mark II and all the games for it, the games that you actually go into as the levels of the game Travis Strikes Again, No More Heroes. And as you play the games, you learn more about Dr. Juvenile, like her styles, her interests, some of her deep thoughts. Like, for instance, you've got the whole lost in the city, going aimless while the whole world kind of pressures you to move on and find a path and find it quick, not really give you much time to think, and it all feels like this big puzzle that you're just stuck in the middle of. You get that feeling with Life is Destroy. of course, there's also, like I previously mentioned, the hotel room in Golden Dragon GP, which just has this whole idea of, like, what am I fighting for? What am I living for? If, you know, everything that I'm doing is just make me come home every day to this very sad setting, this sad thing that I'm forced to call home. And then, yeah, you also get more of that built on with the interactions with the various sheepmen, and also all the faxes from her former lover, Kay. What was his full name? I think it was just Clark, but he always just signed his faxes K. And he was talking about how Juvenile just wanted to tell stories and make these games, but the technology that she ended up inventing was stuff that the CIA wanted to get their hands on for the purpose of making clones that they can then, you know, use for whatever they wanted. If they ever needed an army, there you go. You just have a machine pumping out clones like they're nothing. And yeah, that helped drive her to this level of depression and insanity. But yeah, that also makes you really feel for her. That makes you kind of step into her shoes, so that you know, when you do actually get to the final showdown with her, when she's controlling the last sheepman, the white sheepman, it just feels like this very conflicting battle. Like, you don't want to hurt this character, you don't want to do any harm. In fact, you more likely want to hug them. And you also see that with Travis. He sells that too. This guy who used to be all just fight anyone who's stronger than me, let's fight to the death. It's about determining who's best. That's what it's about. Probably the worst Travis quote I can think of, besides, you know, Moe, or some people fuck at funerals, I cut off heads. But yeah, you get to see that with Travis, how he evolved, and this new, wiser Travis is able to sympathize and empathize with Dr. Juvenile, and he doesn't want to fight Juvenile. He just feels better, you know, being able to get to know this brilliant mind with a huge creative spirit. And then, yeah, you also get that with the theme, but the theme is also just really weird and just seems very unfitting. It's probably the weirdest boss theme in all of No More Heroes, and that says something. Oh yeah, and back to the whole Travis being wiser and not really just being all, yeah, let's fight to the death. Instead, you know, being this person who wants to actually just build friendships. You get to see that with things like the Travis Strikes Back cutscenes, where he develops a pretty good friendship with Kamui Uehara from, what was he from? The Silver Case and the 25th Ward. And also with Jacket and all the Hotline Miami cutscenes thrown out in the CIA level, which, by the way, that was the only good thing about that level, was that they had all the arcade machines with the Hotline Miami interactions, where Travis was trying to track down Jacket, and he did end up finding him and learning that, yeah, Jacket was basically waiting to die. Like, he didn't really have much left to go on living for. But yeah, Travis still befriended him and kept him alive and said, yeah, if you ever do want to die, just hit me up and we'll have a final showdown. That was pretty good because, yeah, it led perfectly to everything with Juvenile. Travis just wanting Juvenile to keep carrying on and keep telling her story. Only for Juvenile to, at the end of the boss fight, tell him that the games are over and nothing else is there between her, the developer, and Travis, the player. They just go on being individuals who may or may not end up interacting in the future, which they end up doing with No More Heroes 3. Oh yeah, and the boss fight with White Sheep Man. It's interesting. There's a lot of cool attacks that White Sheep Man. Okay, that White Sheep Man does. Obviously, there's not really that much interesting about the mini boss sheepmen that you fight in all the games, but they're mini bosses. What did you expect? White Sheepman, though, the final boss, does have some very interesting attacks and does show that, yeah, it's obviously the most powerful boss fight and has like the most spectacle to it. Even then, I felt this basically with all the No More Heroes, or the Travis Strikes Again No More Heroes boss fights, but none of them really blew me away. But this one was still a pretty good one in terms of all the boss fights in TSA. Yeah, definitely Juvenile is held up by her whole character and just being such an interesting figure in the lore of Travis Strikes Again and No More Heroes as a whole. Mostly Travis Strikes Again, because then she just appeared in No More Heroes 3 for, you know, some reason. But as for where I'd put her on the tier list, I'm gonna put her in front of Destroy Man. I just really love her character and her whole story in Travis Strikes Again. Being able to play that game and experience her story was definitely a very cool thing. Let's quickly change the music now. What's a good track? Let's put on the Sheepman theme since I just talked about Juvenile. Oh great, it's an ad. Gotta love these. Alright, the last boss of Travis Strikes Again. You know, you'd think that after talking about the final boss, I'd be done with the Travis Strikes Again bosses. But no, because, you know, wonderful world of DLC. We actually ended up getting the DLC that gave us Shinobu and Bad Girl as playable characters, and the actual completed Killer Marathon game, which is also where we finally got to have the boss fight with Silverface. So first of all, Killer Marathon and Silverface. Silverface, I'm not really sure what his story was. I guess that, you know, he's this contestant in a game of death. You know, this Killer Marathon. And the way that he conducts himself, before he actually was a competitor, I think before he was a competitor, pretty sure he was a football player who also had very overly violent tendencies and actually ended up murdering people. But he was actually bailed out of prison to compete in this game of death, the Killer Marathon. And he's basically the champion of it. But there's more to him than that, and we're going to get to that. But first of all, Killer Marathon itself was definitely a very interesting game. Well, with it being this one that's really got you pressed for time, and you got to get to the checkpoints in time, otherwise you're effed, and you got to do it all from the beginning, all over again. And they're throwing out all these crazy gimmicks. They're throwing out a shit ton of waves of enemies every 5 seconds. You've got these portals and stuff. You've got these space sections where you have a limited amount of oxygen and you got to refill. And then, yeah, once you get to the end, you're in this pinball arena facing off with Silverface. And, yeah, everything that I said before it actually kind of goes a much different direction, because Silverface is actually a very Deadpool-style character. Well, I should say a Travis-style character, because, you know, Travis is another one of these types of characters. Silverface is self-aware. He knows about the fourth wall. He knows that he's a video game character. He knows he's a DLC character. And all that does is weighing on his mental health. He thinks that he's not really worth much, since he was just relegated to DLC, and no one's really going to buy the DLC and be able to experience him. If anything, people are just going to buy the DLC for Bad Girl. But Travis wants him to keep going on, saying that, you know, being DLC isn't all that bad. He can still be a very enjoyable character and a very beloved character. And then, yeah, we get to the boss fight. And, I mean, he's fine. But he does definitely get annoying in the second phase. Because, yes, now if you even dare go a pixel out of bounds, you get stabbed by spikes. And that does a lot of damage. And he's also got the pinball bumpers there as obstacles on the stage. And also the other things that he does to the stage itself. He's got fiery kicks that do a lot of damage and knock you back pretty far, and he just combos you constantly. But I mean, he would still be a lot easier again if it wasn't for those pretty annoying background things. Like, you think Holly is bad with her pitfalls. No, that's a cakewalk compared to the shit that Silverface decides to throw it at you just for the second phase, which isn't even all that much because it's just the second phase. I don't know, he was interesting, but I mean, I don't know. Buying the DLC just for the Silverface boss, I don't know, I'd say pass on that. Rather, you should buy it because you like the concept of the Killer Marathon game, or, well, I should say, and or for Bad Girl. Huh, I guess Silverface is right. More people prefer Bad Girl with that DLC than Silverface, or at least I do. And his theme, I can't talk about his theme, and in the video of this, I can't play his theme because it says two words a lot, one of them being the big F, not the F that YouTube doesn't allow, the slur one. I'm talking about the other big F. And then the other word, it does get censored. I'm pretty sure the song got patched, but that song is the big, that word is the big N. So yeah, I'm either gonna play a different song or I'm gonna censor the hell out of the actual boss theme for him. And yeah, the whole theme is just the whole theme of that song is just like you know, racism being very stupid and kind of pushing, kind of bringing Silverface down, and just showing that yeah, racism stops. Stop being racist, or racism sucks. Stop being racist. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I might just put Silverface. I'm gonna put Silverface, I'd say, in front of Smoking King, because again, he does have some pretty good qualities, especially if you also think of him as also the whole DLC pack for him. But yeah, other than that, it's just kind of eh. Now we move on to the No More Heroes 3 bosses. Starting out with, wasn't Mr. Black Hole actually teased in the DLC mission, the DLC Travis Strikes Back visual novel thing? I'm pretty sure he was, but there he looked different. He actually kind of looked more like Notorious does in No More Heroes 3. But instead, what we got was a much better design. I honestly might say that Mr. Black Hole is my favorite designed fictional alien of all time. His design really does scream alien because it is just so bizarre and so unlike any other thing you'd see. Well, with the whole shapes and the composition of him. Yeah, I love his design. And then him as a character, he's leading out his own squad as Fu is taking over the Earth and bringing in the all 10 of the galactic superheroes, even though they don't do much heroing. They're more galactic supervillains, but whatever. I'm a goddamn superhero. And yeah, we're seeing Mr. Black Hole. He's wreaking some carnage and all, but we actually get a much better deep dive into Mr. Black Hole once, you know, we get eaten by one of his babies inside of his xenomorph eggs, and that thing transports Travis to Mr. Black Hole's home planet, or at least what's left of it, because we get to learn that Fu had actually conquered and destroyed Mr. Black Hole's home planet, and now all he knows is being a servant to Fu. Otherwise, he'll end up like the rest of his race and like his planet, and it's actually pretty tragic. And Travis even tries to lead Mr. Black Hole into making the decision to stop being submissive and instead stand up for himself and reject the life of servitude that he thinks that he's forced to live in. Otherwise, he'll be at the mercy of Fu. But then we get to the boss fight because unfortunately can't make Mr. Black Hole turn over. And the boss fight is actually pretty interesting because there are 3 phases. We'll start with the first phase. The first phase is the main meat of the whole thing. And it's pretty interesting, what with Mr. Black Hole using a bunch of portals and all to throw out his punches. Uh-oh, looks like I lost connection, maybe, hopefully. That's not the case. What the hell happened? Is that the stream or the playback that lost connection? Here, give me 1 second here. Just making sure this is okay. Let me also check YouTube Studio. I'll be right back. Yeah, looks like it should be fine. Maybe. Yeah, I think it's fine. Alright, I think we're good. But yeah, Mr. Black Hole likes to fight with a lot of portals and, you know, jump through them, hide in them. I apparently lost connection again. God damn it, what the hell is going on? Okay, 3rd time's the charm. Hopefully you don't break again. Anyways, he's also making portals for him to punch out of. Yeah, it's a pretty fun first fight. Also a bit tricky to get used to because, you know, he's very different from every other boss that you've fought in any No More Heroes game, especially the first two, the main two. But yeah, eventually you get a hang of it, and you're also rocking out to that pretty awesome boss theme of his. And then comes phase 2, where you gotta follow Gene, as in Gene the cat, into the correct black holes, so you can make your way over to Black Hole and stab him in the eye so you can escape his universe that he kind of trapped you in after beating him in the first phase. And then he grows to become very big, and you gotta fight him in space. And this is where you get your first taste of Full Armor Travis, and it's super easy, the last phase. Yeah, that just goes to show something about the power of the Full Armor Travis mech. Yeah, there's not really much to write home about with that last phase. It's kind of like a dissatisfying end to that, but for what it is, it's fine, I guess. And yeah, it was actually kind of sad having to kill Mr. Black Hole, because yeah, he did end up feeling more like a victim than a target. But yeah, there's nothing you can really do about that. He was loyal to Fu until the very end, even though Fu was the reasoning for his suffering. Overall, I'd say that he was a pretty cool introduction character, and definitely was very enjoyable. So, I'd say maybe the leader of B tier so far. I'd say that he's better than all these guys. I'd say that he's better than Ryuji. So, yeah, leader of B tier. Alright, let's put on another song and drink some water, because I could use some water right now. Let's do Kill Your Artificial Mind. This is Brian Buster Jr.'s theme. It's amazing. So just give me 1 second here. Alright, 10 more to go. Guys, we were so close. Travis didn't end up fighting Glass Joe. He fought Gold Joe. He got the wrong Joe. I mean, yeah, if you spell his name as G Joe, you'd think that maybe it's Glass Joe, but nah, it was Gold Joe. Maybe next time. Anyways. Gold Joe, what was he? The ore thief? He just stole various, space rocks and smuggled them across space. And then yeah, his family and Fu's royal family had a whole relationship even beyond them and their times. And so it feels more like they're friends because of the whole obligation to be friends, because, you know, their family relationships. Or I guess their ancestors' relationships. But it also does kind of feel like Fu does still see Gold Joe as a real friend of his. And it's something that you actually end up seeing with Fu and most of the other galactic superheroes. But we'll get to that when we talk about Fu or some of these other galactic superheroes. And yeah, Gold Joe is definitely one of the most memorable bosses of the new bosses in No More Heroes 3. What with the cutscene before his battle with Travis, and Travis being all, yeah, this is just, what was it? This is just projection mapping. Wow. wow, you're using magnetism. Hey, you mind making it so that's above my head? It'll say N for north and S for south, just so the players don't get too confused. You know, gamers love that type of thing. And then, of course, Gojo with the, oh, snap, snippy, snap, snap, crapple, snap. Whatever the hell he actually said. But, yeah, he was definitely a fun character with a very goofy, a bit over-the-top attitude and character. Yeah, you got to keep up that whole goofy, kind of different vibe with this character, with his theme. Maybe not so much goofy, but definitely different. Because his theme was like this Jersey style dance mix. And it was actually pretty interesting for a No More Heroes theme. And really just goes to show that, yeah, there's a lot of thought that goes into these themes. And yeah, speaking of the fight, pretty interesting. Like I said, he does use magnetism in his fights. So, he'll do things like he'll try and pull you into his makeshift blender attack if you're the same charge as what he's trying to, or the opposite charge as what he's trying to pull in. And then, of course, because magnetism, if you're the same, you're gonna get repelled, so you can avoid that attack. He's got some other attacks, like he's throwing some axe blades or some, like I said, blender blades, if you want to call them that. Doing some other slice attacks. But overall for his boss fight, it can actually come off as a bit easy if you do learn that pushing him into the sparky walls there ends up knocking him straight down to the ground. And then, yeah, you've got two Death Glove abilities that easily push him into the electric walls. Well, I guess at the time, if you're doing a new game run, you'd only have the one Death Glove ability, the Screw Crusher Death Kick. Is that what it's called? Something like that. But even then, that's such an easy tool to use to help you make the boss fight that much easier. And if you don't end up doing that, it can be a bit annoying because, you know, having to keep up with the magnetism can be a bit of a hassle. And, you know, you're just trying to go run to get the same charge so you can be repelled, but you can't because all of a sudden, oh, yep, you're getting pulled in, and you're trying to run. You're like, wow, I don't even get a chance to counter this. But yeah, overall, it's alright. I mean, he's more loved because of the meme stuff with him. And he does do some interesting things, but overall, I don't really see me putting him in B tier. I'd say if anything, I'd put him, yeah, right here in this spot of C tier. Definitely a high C tier, almost a B tier. But, I don't know, I just don't really feel like he meets that same level that some of these guys in B tier get. Maybe on the same level as Harvey. Maybe. Okay, full disclosure, I went into No More Heroes 3 almost entirely blind. Like, the only things I saw were the trailers, and I saw the Gold Joe boss fight. Looks like I lost connection. Let me fix that. Still good? Still live? I think so. Yeah, I saw the Gold Joe boss fight because I'm pretty sure Grasshopper posted a video on that, just showcasing that boss fight. But I had no idea which boss fights were going to be, you know, the typical Suda bait and switch boss fights or not. Because, yeah, No More Heroes had, what? No More Heroes 1 had 2, maybe 3 of them if you want to count the encounter with Garcian. And then No More Heroes 2, not really bait and switches, more so just you're gonna have 50 assassins to fight, and the game just trims it down to 15. And then the bait and switches with Travis Strikes Again were mainly in the form of the games with Killer Marathon, the first one, and Serious Moonlight, aka Shadows of the Damned Dark Knight. Yeah, we actually got quite a few bait and switches, and when we got the first one, like I said, I was completely blind. I was not expecting what we saw. And yeah, what we saw was this big guy, Black Knight Direction, looks like he's gonna be the boss. All of a sudden, psych, yep, this alien kidnapper just got slain in front of your eyes by some strange but super cool looking gray fox cyborg ninja type dude who you've never seen before. And at that point I'm like, oh shit, what the hell is going on? Who is this? And yeah, then we actually get to the fight with this guy who we learn is named Native Dancer. And the fight is actually a bit interesting. So it starts out with a clash, and then he disappears. Then you gotta find him throughout the center of Neo Osaka. Is that what it is? Neo Osaka? And you gotta find him in certain alleyways. And from there, he'll create a clone for you to fight. And what he wants to do is he wants to make you as strong as you can before the real fight with him. So with each clone that you find, he gives you a new death chip. And it's just cool. You get to just test out your death chip and wail on these clones. So this guy's also acting as a teacher for you, on top of being a boss. And then you get all the death chips for No More Heroes 3 before finally clashing with him right there in the main center with the bell. And it's a pretty cool fight. What with everything that Native Dancer is doing, his theme is pretty sick. His attacks are very neat. He's got these kunai that also have electric explosions with them. He's got a bunch of cool attacks with his cyborg ninja sword, which looks like it might be somewhat inspired by the Murasama. And then yeah, he's also doing some tricks by jumping and running up the giant tower in front of you, or in the center of the arena. And yeah, he even breaks out the clones again. For his last phase, I believe, he'll create 2 clones, and you got 3 Native Dancers to worry about, which is also a pretty cool homage and callback to Death Metal's boss fight. And yeah, I just loved it, and it was so much fun, you know, getting all the death chip abilities and then being thrown into a boss fight. This cool dude who just set the stage, set the mood so well, and then being able to just take this new shit that you were forced to learn and just applying it and just having a blast while doing it. And then yeah, to add on to that, Travis doesn't even kill him because he just can't for some reason. And we get to learn that he's actually Travis's time-traveling grandson, who I believe is, I don't know if they're trying to hint that he's a cyborg or that he's actually an android or a robot. But, wow, nice voice crack. But yeah, that was a pretty interesting plot twist. I'd be fine with him not even being related to Travis. I'd just be fine with him being this strange character, this mysterious character, and just still loving him, because that boss fight, that introduction, was just done so well. Yeah, they definitely did a lot of cool stuff with Native Dancer. I'm looking forward to what they end up doing with him in the future. if they do end up doing anything with him in the future, which they might because of what they teased at the very end of No More Heroes 3. This was awesome. I want to put him in S tier, honestly. That was probably my favorite boss fight in No More Heroes 3, if I'm going to be honest. Let's get a song switch here. So... oh, here's Cold Rice. Probably gonna be a weird song to play right here, but I'll play it. I feel like everyone knew, not guessed, that Himi Cowl would be coming back. Because, come on, you're not going to have this strange secret boss fight against this schoolgirl who's, you know, obsessed with Travis and, you know, just completely forget about her after Travis just power bombs her, and that's it. But yeah, 10 years later, here's Kimmy again, and she became this pop star who, apparently, according to Bishop, is... more popular than Taylor, as in Taylor Swift. Which is just hilarious to think about. But yeah, it still feels very strange calling this character Kimmy when the last Kimmy that we saw was, you know, her schoolgirl form in No More Heroes 2. Now here she is, she's this bombastic killing machine that loves doing it in front of an audience, just all for the thrills, all for the show, and all in a very immature and sexualized way. Just feels very odd from what she was before, but it still does fit because before she was pretty crazy. Anyways, yeah, and she kills another cool-looking assassin or another cool-looking alien. Because why would we want to have a boss fight against the guy who's called the Memory Thief? You know, doesn't that sound like it could make for an awesome boss fight? Apparently not, because he just gets killed off because he was there dancing with the backup dancers and Kimmy was just like, yep, I'm gonna kill this guy now. I'm gonna kill this intruder. But yeah, I guess they did kind of fight that disappointment by immediately following that up with the rap battle with Travis, which that was such a fun cutscene. I don't think anyone would deny that. And then yeah, like Travis said, she wasn't the same before, and this time it was time to fight to the death. No more giving Kimmy a pass, no more letting her live. This time they were going to finish what they started. And yeah, the boss fight itself, pretty interesting. Obviously Kimmy still got her beam staff, and she still uses it in a lot of the same ways and a lot of very cool nuanced ways. But then she also kind of loses me when it comes to her teleporting away and just having the setting be the opponent in the match. Because yeah, you like being shot at by the laser eyes of giant teddy bears, or being incinerated by these flame pillars. Yeah, that made the boss fight a little too annoying and kind of drag on, because yeah, she'd teleport away and then you have to just wait out these attacks until she finally comes back to fight you. And then she has... and she also does make a callback to No More Heroes 2, where she tried to attack Travis after the boss fight by wrapping her legs around his neck. She does that again here in a QTE grab attack, which is pretty fun callback. And then we also get more callbacks with her being defeated by Travis powerbombing her yet again. Him just wailing on her with many wrestling moves before finally finishing her off by stabbing her straight in the that region. And yeah, what made that even more emotional, and I guess just emotion heavy, was the fact that, yeah, this was a character who we were once familiar with, and now Travis is here saying that, yeah, this is goodbye, see you in my dreams. This character that Travis once spared, but said that it's not the same as before. She's changed, but not for the better. And also with the last little bit of the boss fight being shown from a camera's live perspective, and it does make the fight a bit annoying because you're like, wow, how am I supposed to tell what the hell's going on when I'm not getting a good camera here? But yeah, it does kind of show that that kind of impact and idea of what assassination is like to viewers in the No More Heroes world. It's just over glorified, and they all just love to watch it because, hey, what else? It's entertainment. It's barbaric. It's, if the people back in the olden days loved it, then they're just coming back to love it yet again. And it's sad because what they're watching is two people who one once loved the other, and one now wishes that the other could have grown and could have been someone that he could have befriended. It's these two people who they're watching fight to the death. And then also the theme, you know, a pretty nice pop theme that goes along with the whole pop star aspect, but it also has a bit of a somber touch to it. Again, a bit of a parallel to 8 Hearts theme, how, you know, it's supposed to be kind of upbeat thing, you know, it's a rap, it's cool, it's upbeat, but you actually listen to it, you listen to the background, the instrumental part of it, and you're like, oh, this is actually a bit depressing. So yeah, definitely a much cooler incarnation of Kimmy and how they ended up handling her. But yeah, still sad to see her go. Even though, you know, she did become a bit freaky, a bit too freaky in this game. But yeah, I'd say that this was pretty cool, and yeah, again, bit unfortunate to bid farewell to her. So I'll put her behind Mr. Black Hole. But yeah, definitely being a high B tier shows that, yeah, this was definitely a boss to remember. So now I have to talk about 2 bosses in one, because Velvet Chair Girl and Oma are kind of the same boss, but not really. I guess we'll start with Velvet Chair Girl. So Velvet Chair Girl, you don't really fight her. Her boss fight is more so a mini game, and it's literally just musical chairs. It's a rhythm game where you gotta stay in tempo so that you don't end up making yourself slower when the music finally stops, and you gotta run to the chairs. And it actually does get pretty annoying because it'll keep saying, yep, your new buttons that you gotta hit at these at the right times as the tempo increases in speed. And yeah, if you can't keep up, if you can't do that in time, then yep, you're just gonna keep faltering, you're gonna get slower, and Oma's gonna shoot you with that what's it called? The Gastro Cannon? I think that's Oma's attack, the Gastro Cannon, something like that. It was definitely very annoying. I did not enjoy the musical chairs minigame. Sure, the musical chairs song is fun and all, but that minigame was not great. And I consider that the Velvet Chair Girl boss fight, because yeah, after you beat her in musical chairs, she just kills herself. She takes a cyanide pill. And then comes an actual boss fight because her little buddy Oma actually becomes this giant menace that kills you in one hit with its laser attacks because, yeah, that's fun. But because of that, they did make Oma's boss fight a pretty simple one. What is going on? Can this thing please... My playback keeps losing connection for some reason. I don't know why. I hope it's not the stream, but yeah, because all of Oma's attacks are just insta-kills, they had to make Oma a bit more of a simple boss fight. So, yeah, you just run in a circle, get behind Oma, and wail on it. And yeah, that just kind of makes the whole boss fight feel underbaked. That's literally the one that, if you go into deathmatch, you could do your first attempt at all 5 difficulties, including death difficulty, and still walk away taking no damage and getting an SS rank in all difficulties because it's too simple. So with that in mind, you got Velvet Chair Girl with a boss fight that I just don't like because it's a pretty bad minigame, or an unenjoyable minigame for me personally. And then you got Oma, which is a very simple boss that's just like, oh, yep, but gimmick is one-hit KOs. I didn't really enjoy these two. Yeah, they're gonna go in D tier, but where in D tier? I'd say at least they're not as annoying as New Destroy Man. Yeah, so I think right there is fair enough for both Oma and Velvet Chair Girl. And even if they were separate, I'd probably put them right next to each other. Maybe Oma ahead of Velvet Chair Girl because at least that's more of a boss fight. Maybe. Alright, actually, I could probably play Midori Kawa's theme. Maybe. No, screw it, let's do it. Yeah, No More Heroes 3 OST. So yeah, Midori Kawa's theme is a bit weird, and we'll get to that when we talk about her. Okay, hope that took a while. Okay. So, we got to see a few characters in all the No More Heroes games, especially the last two, where they were actually characters from different works of Suda's. An obvious example, again, is the 8 Hearts boss, who, you know, is actually Johnson from Shadows of the Damned, and you got to fight him because the game that you went into was actually a kind of Shadows of the Damned sequel inside of Travis Strikes Again. And on top of that, Travis Strikes Again also had Travis interacting with various other Suda characters, with Kamui Uehara being a main character in the Travis Strikes Back scenes. And even then, you also got Notorious showing up at the end of Travis Strikes Again's DLC, and even inside of No More Heroes 3, Notorious being a character from Fire Pro Wrestling, and I'm pretty sure Badman was actually a Killer 7 character, hence why the opening to Travis Strikes Again was in the style of Killer 7. But then we get Midori Kawa, who, aside from having a very funny name, is actually not a No More Heroes original character. The design is, original to No More Heroes, but Midori herself is actually a character from, I want to say it's a novel that Suda wrote. Either a novel or a manga. It's called Red, Blue, Green. Right? I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. Red, Blue, Green. And yeah, it follows Midori, who's this meta-human. And she's got these alien hands, which have the faces of, well, aliens. It's like they're hand puppets, but they're real. And then one has the power of fire, one has the power of wind. Maybe they have more powers. I don't know. I haven't actually read Red, Blue, Green. And yeah, what she ended up doing was becoming a cleaner, which if you played Killer 7, you'll know that a cleaner is not what you think. It's actually cleansing by killing. But yeah, Midori Kawa, she shows up here as part of the Galactic Superheroes rankings. And yeah, very interesting. First of all, the whole setup for her, being this very mysterious character who's got a very powerful and mysterious boyfriend, who we actually end up learning is Kamui in a very strange, new, young-looking form, I guess, just to fit in with Midori. I don't know. I just kind of prefer his past designs, but even then, he wasn't ever able to keep a consistent design. So, yeah, that's just Kamui for you. But back to Midori, you then get to face off with her, and first you have to go through this very scary abandoned school with all this blood and all these corpses and mannequins. And she's just thrusting upon her whole story. She's just telling Travis everything, and as he's trying to back away and like nod and try and get and like tell her that, yeah, he's trying to stop her. But yeah, then she has you go off and explore all the classrooms, and some of them are actually traps where the doors end up closing. And then you gotta fight the mannequins. Then you gotta keep exploring first-person style with a flashlight, and it's super cool. That lead-up makes it adds a lot to the boss fight, because yeah, of course that's gonna be cool and add some style. It changes the gameplay into a first-person horror where you're going through this bloodied, abandoned school and fighting mannequins. That's pretty interesting. Then you finally catch up with Midori, and you transport to the setting of a Kamen Rider shoot or something like that. I don't know, but it was something goofy like that because, it's No More Heroes. This whole story was just like... This whole story, if I could sum it up in one phrase, is, what the hell is happening? That's just a given with anything of Suda's. And then, yeah, seeing how Midori is actually this very powerful meta-human, Travis decides that it's a good time to break out a key upgrade of his, which is the green armor of his space mech, which is more like a human-sized armor, his henshin. And the whole boss fight is just you fighting her in that armor, and that also adds a bit of notoriety, a bit of notability to notability. I don't know what I'm trying to say. A bit of I think notoriety is the right word for that. It adds a bit of notoriety to the fight, as if it needed it after having that awesome lead up. But yeah, you get to face off in this new armor. You got some new specials like that tiger attack and the missiles, of course. But yeah, you're gonna need it because she is uber powerful. She's got these crazy fire attacks, shooting giant fire blasts, giant fireballs just bouncing around, leaving all these piles of fire that if you stand on them, you're taking constant damage, and they're just super annoying, actually. And she's got wind powers like heat-seeking tornadoes, and then these air slashes. I'll just call them air slashes. And yeah, it's just such a cool idea, such a cool execution. Everything that they did with Midori was so cool. And then even being able to keep her alive and make her an ally to Travis was also super awesome. And yeah, also giving her a relationship with Kamui was also pretty neat and pretty unexpected. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know who Kamui was before the interaction between him and Travis after beating Midorikawa, because I actually was not familiar. I was not familiar with the Silver Case or the 25th Ward and Cat's Out of the Bag, but I played Travis Strikes Again after No More Heroes 3. Whoops, sorry. Yeah, Midori was just so much fun. Such a cool character. I'd love to actually get around to reading Red, Blue, Green somehow, just to learn more about her. So yeah, definitely impressed with her appearance in No More Heroes 3. Definitely up here in the S tier with Holly and Native Dancer. You just can't keep Destroy Man down, can you? After slicing him in half, he'll still come back. He'll still fix those halves by putting on another half with cybernetic enhancements, a robot half, so that they're two cyborgs that are both Destroy Man out of both halves. And even then, after Shinobu dices up one's head and then sets one to explode, he still finds a way to come back because he had robot duplicates. He was creating cybernetic clones all this time. And so now you have to fight a shit ton of mass-produced Destroy Men, and then finally Destroy Man True Face, which is what this one's called, even though, let's be honest, even if it is his quote-unquote true face, it's not the last that we've seen of Destroy Man. I'm pretty sure Suda was actually making concept art for a final Destroy Man, which I think even then, that won't be the last that we see of Destroy Man. Destroy Man really has become a staple to No More Heroes. Just because, come on, it's Destroy Man, he's a lovable character, and the fact that they keep going out of their way to bring him back just shows that he's worth keeping around. Even then, I would say that this isn't quite up there with the first Destroy Man in No More Heroes 1, but I will say it's definitely better than the No More Heroes 2 New Destroy Man, or Destroy Men, whatever you want to call them. But there was nowhere to go but up from New Destroy Man. So after sniping Lee is taken away from you by Notorious, Sylvia just says, fuck it, bring in a boss fight for no reason, because this one got skipped. And what do we get? We get mass-produced Destroy Men. And it's pretty funny. Just like, hey, we need a boss fight. People like Destroy Man? Bring him in. Yeah, and you start out by fighting an army of Destroy Men, of the mass-produced Destroy Men. And they all still have the same personality and some of the same or similar attacks to the different incarnations of Destroy Man. But then after beating enough of the mass-produced Destroy Men, you actually go underground after getting an assist from Notorious and find the main factory where all the Destroy Men are being created and pushed out. And there you see, quote-unquote, Destroy Man True Face. And the True Face of Destroy Man has a pretty cool design. Obviously, the more Destroy Man looking one is the design given to the mass-produced Destroy Men. They also have the rotating head split parts, which is a callback to how Shinobu sliced up the head of one of the Destroy Men. But Destroy Man True Face does still have a pretty cool design. The head is pretty neat. I think it's pretty funny how he's got a face on his stomach. I don't know why, it's just funny. And then yeah, he definitely fights more like the Destroy Men that we're used to. He's got a lot of the same attacks, a lot of upgraded ways of using those attacks. Like he'll fly up into the air while doing his penis laser. He's got a dashing punch attack and some uppercuts that also have some sparks because, you know, destroy spark. He has a really annoying tech. He has a really annoying tech with his destroy. I think he calls it his destroy cannon. He just shoots out 2 beams that are heat-seeking from his hands, and for some reason I can never dodge those. I don't know why. I think you're just supposed to block them. Now that I think about it. Yeah, pretty neat. His boss theme was also pretty interesting. Oh shit, I never talked about the boss themes for Midori. I'll get to that after I'm done ranking Destroy Man. What was I saying? Yeah, the theme for him was pretty neat. I'd say that's definitely a very good theme for him. I think that's his first theme is probably gonna always be the most iconic one, and probably the most fitting for his character because of how weird and unnatural it is. But you know, he's a very different kind of character in the No More Heroes world. So yeah. And then Twin Electromagnet or Kill You Twice Over. I don't know why they gave 2 different names to all the themes in No More Heroes 2. That's another really fun theme. A bit bland and not really Destroy Man centered, but still a fun theme. And I feel the same way with his No More Heroes 3 theme, Feast Matsuri or whatever. Like, it's just a fun one because, yeah, this is just meant to be something done for fun. He's a fun character. There's this one-sided rival to Travis. He's always fun to see. He's a delight, no matter if it's even all that good. I mean, we'll still like him because he's Destroy Man, but we'll not always like his fights. No More Heroes 2. But yeah, this one was still pretty good. I wouldn't say good enough to be A tier, but because yeah. Bringing Destroy Man back is fun, and you know, having the whole army of Destroy Men before fighting this new Destroy Man True Face is also very neat and a fun way to do it. You know, first it was just 1 man, then he got split in half. Now it's 2 men. Then after that, what's the next way to go? Well, you just make a whole army. I'll say leader of B tier, maybe. Yeah, actually, before I rank him, I'm gonna say some things about Midori. Also, I forgot to say when concerning Midori Kawa, but her theme is a bit weird because first in the first patch of the game, it was just the main enemy theme, the beast test. And I'm not sure why. I think it might have just been because, you know, you were doing full armor Travis maybe, or maybe that was always supposed to be your boss theme, but they also had it as a regular theme. I don't know. But what they ended up doing was they took Fu's theme from the very first patch that they ended up patching out and then giving him the theme Gravedigger. And then in a later patch, gave that first Fu boss fight theme to Midori Kawa, but it is a pretty fitting, but it is still a pretty fitting theme for Midori and that whole setting, that whole battle, and does help increase the hype factor of that. Because yeah, it is still a pretty cool theme. I'm not sure if I'd say it fits. I don't know whether to say it fits Fu or Midori Kawa better. Maybe I'd say Midori because yeah, Gravedigger is still a very fitting theme, but yeah, still just a cool theme overall. Anyways, back to you. Alright, let's change the music real fast. I gotta put on one that's not gonna get slain by, what's his name? What's his name? Good ol', yeah, Grasshopper Manufacturer. Well, guys, Sonic is in No More Heroes, except his last name here is Juice. I think as soon as everyone saw Sonic Juice, they were like, yeah, we're gonna love this character. Just because the design is just so funny. This towering giant beast in this see-through alien body mech thing with these goofy eyes on it, just to have eyes, and inside you see the actual alien, and his hands are coming out as the nipples of the glass body, the avatar of Sonic Juice. But the love doesn't stop there, because Sonic Juice is still such a very cool character. First of all, his introduction cutscene with Travis is funny because, you know, you gotta just sit through him slowly approaching you because you gotta walk through a shit ton of water. And then you finally face off with him, and he's giant, and they're going back and forth talking, and Sonic Juice talks about how he doesn't want to go through with Fu's rampage and him wanting to conquer the Earth. But yeah, he and Travis still end up fighting, but Sonic Juice wants to change it up a bit. So what does Sonic Juice do? He decides to turn the game into an RPG for a little bit. And, you know, have Travis be all, yeah, the characters in FF7 look stupid. And have Sonic Juice keep questioning himself like, what, the characters in FF7 look stupid? Like, do they look stupid? The characters look stupid. I never realized that the characters look stupid. And it's funny because every time they said stupid, they had to censor it out, making people think that they were saying something worse than stupid. It's hilarious. It's an acid trip of a game. But that's not all, because again, you then get to play the battle as an RPG, which when I first did it, I'll be honest, I sat there constantly charging up my beam katana and attacking Sonic Juice and healing and just doing that until like 10 minutes later, finally he's like, alright, fine, we'll move on to the real boss fight. And when I did that, it skipped the first phase. Not the first phase. It took about, I want to say, a fourth or a third of Sonic Juice's health, which good because I sat through all that fighting him in the RPG, even though what you're meant to do is use Travis's self-awareness of the fourth wall to destroy the RPG UI, so that then you can finally fight Sonic Juice as a regular boss, which is just hilarious. I knew I was gonna love the boss fight ever since the trailer showed like a quick split second of it where, yep, it's an RPG, and I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be a fun one. And then it kind of lost a bit of fun because what it ended up being afterwards was them doing the last phase of Jasper Butt Jr., but done right. Even then, it was still done a bit wrong because here's the thing. It just doesn't work too well because it's such a huge contrast from all the other bosses in this game. Whereas everyone else is around your same size, and you can basically use almost all of your attacks on them. I guess some differences are like Mr. Black Hole because he's another big opponent, and Fu because of his gimmick, which we'll get to when we talk about him. But having a character like that who's towering over you and is just staying in one place mostly the whole time, except for when they move back to do certain attacks and you can't even touch them. But yeah, that does end up making Sonic Juice a little harder than he probably should have been. But yeah, as long as you can get the dark steps in against certain attacks and, you know, easily dodge some of his attacks, like his legendary water and his wave, you'll be fine. Although for some reason when I went to fight him again, I could not help but constantly get hit and take a shit ton of damage from his one attack where he creates like a little spinning water attack, a spiral of flowing water that rotates, which I don't know how it's doing that or why that's an attack, but somehow that just kept draining my health when I fought him recently. Yeah, so again, the fight just makes him very tricky, but again, it is still something to love because it's them going back to an idea that people really didn't like and saying, hey, this idea can work. It's just that we had bad execution in No More Heroes 2. And then, yeah, unfortunately, Travis was going to let him live, but yeah, Fu had to come and kill off his former friend Sonic Juice, and yeah, rest in peace. We're going to miss you and your awesome, hilarious avatar. Also, his theme. His theme was fucking awesome. His theme, Dead Orca Force. Even if Red Orca decided to remake or remaster that song, the version that they used in No More Heroes 3 still kicks a ton of ass. I think this character overall kicks a ton of ass. Cool character. They did some cool stuff with his boss fight. Even if it wasn't perfect, it was still stuff that it's definitely lovable. So, I'm gonna put him ahead of 8 Hearts in A tier. Also, a good reason for putting him in there was because of his I can't do it, but it's hilarious how he just says when shooting out birds. When shooting out birds, he's just going there like What? What is this character? Oh, speaking of what is this character. Guys, get ready. I have a few rants about NMH3 Henry. Okay, so can we start by changing this character's name? Because it feels wrong to call this guy Henry Cooldown. If anything, the more appropriate thing to call him would be Henry Touchdown, because, you know, this is apparently Henry after he became awoken and realized that, my memories had been overwritten, and I was raised to believe that I was actually this Irishman named Henry Cooldown. I was born in the Cooldown family, but no, I was actually Henry Touchdown. I was born in the Touchdown family, but I was kidnapped and brainwashed as a kid. So let's just call this Henry Touchdown, and then this Henry, the good Henry Henry cooldown. Anyways, back to this. Henry's gone insane. He's just turned into this lunatic now. Partially because I don't know to what extent, but to an extent because he watched Thor. Yes, this is a very Suda thing to do, but what the hell are you doing this to such a beloved character that already had a very cool character and style to him? He just feels like such a different character now. He feels completely changed. So let's look back at Henry. He was always this cool, collective assassin that definitely had some high skills. I mean, we see him in No More Heroes 1. He kills Let's Shake before you can even get to him with one attack, slicing him in two. And then Travis is about to get killed on the toilet by Garcian from Killer 7. And then comes Henry, slicing him in half, this time bisecting him. And then honorably waiting for Travis in the parking lot so that they can have a cool-ass showdown. And then he comes back in No More Heroes 2, and he still keeps up that same kind of character, you know, this cool, handsome foil to Travis. And he actually grows a bit, though, in that game. Gets his character expanded upon a little bit. Because there, obviously, you know, he's still a rival to Travis. And he still tells Travis that they've got a score to settle. But he still ends up appreciating Travis a little more than he did before. Considering Travis ended up rescuing Henry and keeping him safe in his motel while he recovered after being stuck in Chrome or whatever. And then Henry got to repay Travis by killing some assassins so that Travis didn't have to do that, you know, boosting Travis's rank. And then also coming back in the fight with Jasper Butt Jr. While Travis was faltering and about to get killed. Henry came in, saved his life, and then did something else. He was fighting Bat's goons, but I don't remember there being any goons, so I think Henry was just sitting back and watching. And then, you know, dipped when he saw Jasper become a giant parade float. But yeah, it was kind of building on this character who, you know, obviously he's gonna be a rival to Travis. He kind of knows that because, you know, just like Travis, it's obvious that he has awareness and some kind of control over the fourth wall. I mean, we got that with the end of No More Heroes 1 with Henry saying that he thought Travis and the player would expect a twist of fate of some kind, and saying that he's just the handsome foil in Travis's story. And then, yeah, also with No More Heroes 3, him saying that the assassins he killed, there's not going to be a boss fight for them because the game's already filled up to the brim as much as it is without them. But yeah, he still sees himself like he's always going to be Travis's rival, but he can still learn to also create a brotherly bond with him. And that they'll end up, you know, still keeping that family tie and being there when they need each other. To the point where they're less so rivals and more like frenemies. More like friendly rivals than fight to the death rivals. But then comes Travis Strikes Again, and Henry finds Travis, and all of a sudden he's referring to himself in the third person, and he created this whole cult called the Order of the Emerald Knight, and now he just wants to kill Travis because he watched Thor and sees himself as Thor and Travis as Loki. because reasons. I mean, at least we got to give Henry sunglasses. That's cool. And I mean, his design in No More Heroes 3, I like it. It's a cool way to give Henry a cool kind of evolved design where, you know, now he's got a cool new hairstyle. He's got the sunglasses and a tattoo, which is also secretly a third alien eye. And I think that's all they really did for changes. Oh, and also make him dual wield beam katanas. Other than that, yeah, his design is mostly the same, a little darker with the colors of the outfit. But yeah, he comes back and he's still his crazy self from Travis Strikes Again. And again, I went into this game blind, and like I said before, like I admitted, I hadn't played Travis Strikes Again until after No More Heroes 3. So when I saw this Henry, I was definitely thrown for a loop. I was dumbfounded. I had no idea what to say. No idea what to think. Just all of a sudden he's walking up. He's no longer Irish. He completely lost his accent. He's talking about how battle is all about rhythm, and then proceeds to just wail on a trash can because I guess he finds that type of thing intimidating. And then, yeah, he's talking about, oh, I saw a movie about God. And, you know, that movie was Thor, of course. But it was still cool to have him then talk about the backstory of Travis and himself. And how secretly Travis's father was a serial killer. And the reason why this, who we previously thought was an Irish man, was Travis's twin brother. And it was all because, yeah, he was kidnapped as a child and had his memories overwritten. But still, it just felt so different. This character who's now motivated by crying and hates Travis and wants to kill him after, you know, the last time we saw him without Travis Strikes Again in mind, being him and Travis on good terms, with him saving Travis. And now we have this deranged psychopath who just wants to kill. And I get it. This is meant to be a callback to some other of Suda's kind of ascended characters, with a good example being Kamui Uehara, because yeah, he was another character who kind of reached some kind of enlightenment in their life, and then with that they gained new powers, but also new insanity. But doing that to Henry? Like, at that point, just make a different character. I mean, the fight's still cool. Like, there's a lot of callbacks to his moves from previous games. He's even got some pretty cool new moves, like a million stab kind of move, like Travis has. And then he's got his new Mirage mode because he's got a third alien eye. And that was also something that kind of threw me off, because again, not knowing about the change in Travis Strikes Again and going into the game blind, I was here thinking, what's going on here? Could this be like an alien imposter who's pretending to be Henry, and that's why he's also got this third eye and this Mirage mode? And then, yeah, after going into Mirage mode, he's got some crazy new attacks. And then some crazy increase in beam katana size, because you think maybe he's compensating for something in there. And then, yeah, fighting him, his themes are also very neat. So first there's the pre-battle theme, which people love, me included. It's a very cool theme, and is a pretty cool callback to We Are Finally Cowboys, with the overall style of that theme. And then after that, you get the very somber and very ambient battle theme, which is kind of like you can kind of hear a "We Are Finally Cowboys" leitmotif in the battle theme, but it's a lot more dreary and feels like this is just a very unsettling battle. Like, something definitely feels wrong, and I felt like that kind of played more into my initial theory that this wasn't really Henry. But yeah, then you kill him, and he still won't stay dead. After slicing him in two, his top half still crawls to Travis as he keeps telling him, "Don't cry, Travis," because, you know, that's his whole character now. He's Broly. He's basically, if you wanted to combine Broly and Agent Smith, and then yeah, Travis finally beats the shit out of him, just brutalizes him to death until his top half finally stops moving. And then the weirdest thing, after killing him and Sylvia going back into her motel room, then you see in the window, there's Henry. And it's like, what the hell's going on? What? I just killed you. Now you're here. What? Was that a clone? Was it because, again, that was an imposter and you're the real Henry? What? And then I was coming up with even more theories, like, wait, could it be like Sylvia and Henry secretly got back together, and Henry's kind of been like a father figure, what with Travis kind of leaving Sylvia and his kids behind in Travis Strikes Again to kind of keep them safe from the potential threat of assassins trying to find and assassinate Travis and anyone near him, anyone close to him. But no, apparently it's just there are multiple Henrys. I guess, again, to make an Agent Smith reference. And then what do we get after that? We get Travis stuck in a quote-unquote bug where Travis is stuck on the saving screen of taking a shit. But that's all because of Henry's fourth wall breaking powers. And then he comes in with the Order of the Emerald Knights, and instead of saving Travis when he was about to get killed on the toilet, like in No More Heroes 1, he comes in, and he's the one that actually kills Travis on the toilet. And Travis, of course, doesn't stay dead because, you know, we've still got 2 more bosses. But, yeah, because of Travis's whole fourth wall breaking powers, I want to say it's because of that, he lives that again, and Henry's just never seen again until he's referenced all the way at the end, because, yeah, apparently Henry teams up with some aliens in the future to kill Travis, and now Travis has time-traveling children that are trying to bring him into the future to save the world and prevent himself from dying and kill Henry, and it's what the hell? It's too much. It's too much change and too much bad change. Maybe not bad change, because, again, there are definitely cool things about this. The idea is cool, but doing this to Henry is not cool. It's too much of a 180. And I'm sorry, I can't see this as the same Henry. I still like it as a character. Like, there's some cool stuff about it. The idea is cool. Him and his creepy mannerisms and his whole mentality of just I don't care what happens, I'm killing you. That's definitely interesting. But it's just not my Henry. It's a Henry that I'd feel comfortable putting as a high A tier, but definitely nowhere near the Cowboys tier, where the true Henry will always be in my heart. You know, honestly, I should probably just make a whole video on Henry. I might do that. Let me know in the comments if you want that. And for you guys in the chat, if anyone is in chat, let me know if you'd like to see that. I definitely have some things I can say. I'm gonna catch my breath while I change the song now. Now it's time to talk about the big bad of No More Heroes 3, the villain that we got to see all the way back in the first trailer, where we thought at first it was going to be some game called Goddamn Superhero, but then nope, here comes Travis. It's actually No More Heroes 3. And then of course we get to, this is actually very interesting. So this is the, well, I guess Travis Strikes Again did this, but in terms of the numbered No More Heroes games, this is the first time where we got to see the final boss, or the big bad, we'll say, the main big bad throughout the entire story, and see how they develop as events kind of occurred and went on through the whole story mode of the game. Because, I mean, of course, you know, there was No More Heroes 2, where there was always that that looming presence of Jasper Bat Jr., but we didn't really get to see him and interact with him throughout the whole thing. It was just like, oh, this is the name of my main target. Then we finally get to him, and he's a huge letdown. But Fu, we got to see throughout the entire thing. Jas Baptiste the Sixth. So he's rank 1 in this Galactic Superheroes ranking, and he's also a intergalactic conqueror, going planet to planet, destroying whatever he finds, whatever he doesn't like, whatever he wants to conquer, and then creating a following out of people who are too scared of Fu to fight against him, and instead decide to join him. But it's also interesting because we see, as the story goes on, Fu with all of those people who now bow down to him and have become his fellow superheroes. They actually become people who Fu actually sees a bit more as friends. And we see that with how he's dead set on getting revenge for Mr. Black Hole, to the point where he goes and faces Travis head on in the motel parking lot, and then decides to get payback by ripping off Shinobu's arms and killing Badman in front of Travis. And then we get to see more of that as we go on. I already talked about how he was kind of becoming very friendly with Gold Joe, and then he wants to stay motivated and keep Mr. Black Hole. Who am I thinking of? He wants to keep Black Knight Direction motivated, trying to learn about his backstory, and saying that they'd find that lighthouse together. And then him with, I almost said Black Knight Direction again. Him with Vanishing Point, and Vanishing Point being there to kind of tell him to try and make friends with his enemies, rather than just constantly be a brute force type guy. You know, maintain some professionalism and build with honesty. But then, you know, as Travis keeps killing them all, and some even turn on him, like Midori, and he can't even get a good grip on his own sanity with, again, seeing his friends die and his best friend, Damon, constantly walk out on him. And it gets to the point where he basically doesn't care for sniping Lee, Sonic Juice, or... Oh my god, I forgot what the other guy was. Paradox Bandit. I mean, he's still there to have a meal with Sniping Lee and have drinks with Sonic Juice and ask if Sonic Juice can see the future and all, hoping that they can have a bright one together. But yeah, the dude still ends up killing... I forgot his name again. Paradox Bandit in his sleep. And then backstabbing Sonic Juice after his battle with Travis. So we see just how much all of this death puts a toll on and changes Fu. How it's this very effed up thing where it's him. To him, he's fine with conquering and killing. But if you do it to him, he just goes batshit crazy. Shows that he really is a very toxic person. Even to the point where he'll mistake these people who are just being subservient to him to stay alive as his friends. And yeah, he is amazing. Fu and his line reads, his voice, his mannerisms, his design. He was just such a fun character to be checking up in. He was just such a fun character to see all this time and check up on and just see how they were doing with each passing mission of the game. I guess each passing episode, because this is kind of framed as if it's a Netflix show, because why not? And then comes the big showdown. We get a badass confrontation, kind of wrestling style smack talk before the final battle with Fu. And it's awesome. Fu and Travis getting right up in each other's faces. Travis pressing all the right buttons to get Fu completely aggravated. And then comes the boss fight, which is... I don't know how to say it. Mainly because I just don't have the words for it. So the fight, it's heavily carried by a gimmick, because you can't hit Fu unless all of the eyes on his body stop glowing purple, which for a first time makes it very tricky and a bit hard to know and recognize when you first face off with him. But then once you learn it, you're like, okay. But even then, that does make the fight a bit odd, because now you gotta constantly wait for the eyes to finally shut off. Then you can finally fight him, and then they'll come back on, and you'll have to wait, and you have to dodge his attacks. And some of them are very devastating, like the one where he throws a spirit bomb, and the one where he just stands in place, and all of a sudden, boom, he's right on top of you. And then the hair spike projectiles, which I'm also really bad at dodging, because I keep trying to roll out of the way instead of block them. His grab attack is really cool, where he headbutts you. And then one really cool trick that you can do is once his eyes stop glowing, you do the Screw Crusher Death Kick, and that will get him into an immediate stun, where you can then get a wrestling move off on him. So yeah, it's definitely a bit of a tricky game, you know, a game of like wait for the right opportunity, then, you know, kick his ass. But again, he's also very devastating, because again, strong attacks, This is the final boss. This is the guy who conquered planets. Of course it's going to be that way. So it's fun, but I mean, there are some parts to it, again, that can make it a bit annoying. But overall, still, cool boss fight. The gimmick is both good and bad in this situation, so I'll give that a bit of a pass when kind of talking about it. But then there's the second phase, which is doesn't really do much for me. In that phase, what happens is you go inside of Fu, who becomes this small fortress, and you have to dark step all of his punch attacks, because he'll shoot out some giant arms for you to dodge and then beat the shit out of, and then that's how you damage him. But it's also pretty neat because you get all of Travis's friends coming in and also doing some damage to the head of Fu, until finally you finish him off with a QTE, which is just you beating him with your fists, which was badass as hell. That was the perfect way to have that QTE be, is, hey, you've been fucking with me throughout this entire game. We followed you throughout this whole thing. I'm giving you what you fucking deserve in the most badass way possible. I'm taking you down not with my beam katana, but with my fists. Even then, he wasn't the one to kill Fu, because then came Bad Girl doing a home run, Shinobu cutting off his head, revealing that he was still that baby form that we saw in the opening of NMH 3. And then Damon killed him with a bomb on his ship. Yeah, the second phase... yeah, the second phase was not great. But even then, still, Fu as a character, his charisma, his insanity, it was still so much fun to follow. And the fight was still pretty neat. Again, had a pretty neat gimmick, which also got annoying at times. But, I mean, it's a gimmick. What do you expect? That's gonna happen with gimmicks. Definitely an awesome No More Heroes villain. And I'd say I'm gonna put him between 8 Hearts and Sonic Juice. I still kind of like Sonic Juice as a character a little more. But yeah, Fu, pretty awesome character. So glad that they decided to make him, and that he turned out as good as he did. He was definitely a great main villain for this game. But Fu was not the main boss. But Fu was not the final boss. That actually came in the form of a throwaway-ish character from Travis Strikes Again, which was basically this character who was meant to be a stand-in for, I think, the CEO of EA or something like that. Damon apparently has a very similar name to someone big in EA, someone important, and his origins in No More Heroes is that he wanted to make a Death Ball game because he was working with Juvenile, but Juvenile didn't like the game and wanted him to shut down on that. So what did he do? He beat Juvenile to a pulp, and then decided to... I think he finished the game in his own way, and I forget what game that was. It might have been Serious Moonlight, or maybe he just beat her to a pulp and then just took the Death Ball after Juvenile made changes to the game and changed it to her vision. Which, you know, her vision ended up being a Shadows of the Damned sequel. I forget. I'd have to rewatch. I'd have to reread that scene. But then, yeah, they teased that Damon would want to have revenge on Travis after Travis punched him after hearing about what he did to Juvenile. And yeah, Damon returned. He was actually best friends with Fu all the way back when Fu first came to Earth 20 years ago and was a little baby. And then he comes back as his handsome form that he has now. And Damon realizes that, holy shit, this guy's changed. What the hell? And he's psychotic. He's just destroying everything. He doesn't give a shit about anything. Even though that's not entirely true. You can see that deep down, Fu did still care about Damon and want to be his friend, but by that point, Damon thought that Fu was too lost, and he just got sick of Fu, and didn't want him to stick around anymore. So he decided to take care of Fu himself by sticking a bomb to Fu's ship and finishing him off that way. And then it was revealed that Damon was also an ugly alien, an ugly bug-eyed, purple-skinned freak. And then he comes out with his, revealing that his tower was actually a giant mech. And then in comes a literal Deus Ex Machina in the form of a mech coming in from Damon Ex Machina for Travis to take control of and fight Damon in the mech fight Damon in the mech with, and do a few QTE things, and then finally take him to a place that they called the final stop, or in Japanese, the final destination. And from there, Travis proposed that they finish their battle with sumo. And yeah, already that sounds goofy, but believe me, it's actually pretty awesome, because what ends up happening is probably the last thing I was ever expecting. The final boss fight is Super Smash Bros. No joke, you fight Damon in a Super Smash Bros. Style setting where the camera is fixed in the Super Smash Bros. Style. All the health and the HUD and all that for both you and Damon are at the bottom, looking just like they are in Smash. And it's all stylized like percent, and yeah, it's just like, wow, okay. It's like Suda saw that. It's like Suda got told by Sakurai that, yeah, they were just gonna do a Mii costume for Travis, and he was like, fine, I'll do it myself. And he put Travis. He didn't put Travis in Smash Bros, but he put Smash Bros in No More Heroes. Kind of. And that was the best part of that. Other than that, yeah, it's just Damon turning into a more threatening form, having this weird theme play in the background, having some pretty damaging attacks. But yeah, just that whole idea. We'll settle this with sumo, and then it's Super Smash Bros. That definitely carried this. It was also pretty interesting how we got to see Damon's descent into madness with having to deal with Fu, and then having that all lead up to him meet with a mysterious man just to kill off Fu. Yeah, he made for a pretty good plot twist main antagonist, final boss, that you then got to beat in Smash Bros. And talk about dissing the person who fucked with your ideas. You fuck with Suda's ideas, dude's gonna put you in his game, but he's gonna make you this asshole who beats up game developers to a pulp and then gets slapped by the main hero, then comes back just to be this deranged, crazy person going through a mad cycle because they were best friends with this alien conqueror, and then get killed off in one of the coolest ways by the main hero, and then just die, repeating, I don't want to die. Yeah, Damon was definitely very neat, and I'd say I'd put him right here behind Henry Touchdown. Yes, I'm still calling him Henry Touchdown. Piss off. And there we go. That's the whole tier list. Give me 1 second here. I'm gonna quickly turn off the banner in this. And actually give me 1 second. Let me see if I can fix the screen a little bit so I can fit everyone on screen. Actually, we'll just do this. How did I do that? Okay. And there we go. With that, I have been talking for 3 hours. Apparently, my chat just lost connection on my playback. Okay. But there we go. We finally completed this No More Heroes tier list. Or No More Heroes bosses tier list. Looks pretty good. Yeah. I absolutely love a ton of these characters. I think everyone's got at least something to love about them. And it was a lot of fun being able to talk about them. Talk about what I think was very good about them. What I think was very bad about them. And yeah, I just really love the characters that Suda made for this series, and it's just got a lot of charm to it. If you haven't checked out No More Heroes, I definitely recommend it. You will fall in love with the characters. I also heavily encourage you guys to definitely look into the characters. What do you say? Yeah, just look into it. Like, do deep dives, deep looks into the characters. Analyze what they say. Analyze the meanings behind them, because they actually have some deep meanings. For the most part, a lot of No More Heroes 2 guys were just kind of there because reasons. But yeah, these characters were made to be thought-provoking and leave a very good impact on the players. So yeah, I definitely recommend this series. I recommend checking out the characters and just enjoying them. At least check out the music too, because the music is amazing, especially all the boss themes. Yeah, and with that, that's the whole tier list. I don't know what else to say. The chat might have been a ghost town for the most part this whole time. I'm gonna try refreshing chat, see. Looks like it still is. I'm gonna quickly check my playback. I'm gonna check YouTube Studio. Let me turn these back on. And I'm gonna go into break time, because I do need a break. And a change of music, so... Alright, I will be right back. Okay, well, I'd say this is a good stopping point. I finished my tier list, so yeah, obviously that's a good stopping point. But it also looks like chat is all but alive. Right? Did I use that phrase correctly? Chat's basically dead. So, yeah. It's a good place to stop right here. I hope I can turn this into a video, somewhat soon. Hopefully soon. And then I'm not sure what I might want to do for my next live tier list. But, I don't know, I'll find something. But, I think the next stream I might do will be picking the Pokemon Crystal back up, trying to beat the Elite Four, and maybe also get some progress done in Kanto. See how far we can get there. Although again, I do still have to grind, so that's gonna be a bitch and a half. But anyways, that's it for this though. So, thank you to... I don't think anyone's in chat, but if anyone is in chat, thank you to those of you who are still here, who stuck around. Thank you to those who were in chat. If you're watching the VOD of this, thank you for watching. And yeah, that's it for now. See ya whenever I stream next. Maybe tomorrow, we'll see. And that's all for tonight. Take care.